needed. They came out, they played a different style of football, a different brand of football early on. They still threw it for a lot more than I expected to, but at the same time, they came away with a good victory in terms of just getting, like JB said, on the left side of that column. You know what I mean? You needed a win bad. And, look, you're now at 8 wins on the season. You win one more game, you're a winning football team this year. And all of the things that you set out to accomplish are still in front of you. You can still win a division. You can get to the playoffs. You can get to a conference championship game. You can get to a Super Bowl. That is all in front of you, but you had to take care of business today to set up another big game in front of you come next week. So everything that was in line for what today was about, to me, I checked some boxes. There are still some that I didn't put in ink. I have pencil, okay, because I can always erase them. But definitely there was a couple I saw in ink that I said, yes, they checked that box. They can do this. I'll check it, but I can erase it later on because I can still see some gray there. But for the most part, I was really impressed with the game plan and how they were able to execute.
Well, for sure. And if, like we said during the pregame show, and like we'll talk about during the upcoming entire week until they go and play Arizona on Monday Night Football a week from tomorrow night, they just needed to win a game. They just needed to win another game after losing. They didn't win a game in the month of November. They were 0-3. All three of those games were kind of lopsided in the wrong direction. So this feels good for all of the obvious reasons. Let's start right here. Did the Rams play a really clean game today, a really aggressive brand of football, or is the Jacksonville Jaguars just that bad, or maybe is it both?
I think it was a little bit of both. Jaguars are just not a very good football team. Their record told me that. They were 2-9. The Rams caught them at the right time in terms of they needed a game to get back, and the Rams were able to do some things that against a 2-9 team that you can't do against anybody else. You had,
for instance,
kicking out of bounds.
Oh, right.
Catch interference, the taunting penalties, not getting off the field on a couple third downs, back-to-back holding calls by Darius Williams that kept a drive alive. Like, those are the type of things that get you beat. And if you're playing against the elite teams, right, they're not competing against the Jaguars. They're competing against the Green Bay Packers, which we saw last week. You make those same mistakes, and they'll run the score up on you. They're going against the Arizona Cardinals next week, that if you have those same mistakes, it's going to hurt you. So those are the things that I'm talking about, that because I thought the Jaguars are just not a very good team, and the Rams made some mistakes, that it was a little bit on both sides of how they won the game.
It seemed like they kind of found a different gear, a groove, however you want to describe it, in the second half. The first half, they got off to a really good start. They were ahead 10-0 at the end of the first quarter. And then the second quarter kind of fell into that lull, kind of had those mistakes that you're talking about, kicking the ball out of bounds, a couple of penalties. We saw a couple of more special teams gaffes as well, just not a very clean quarter. And then they come out, they win the second half 21-0, especially in that third quarter, just up and down, a couple of beautiful throws from Matthew Stafford. It seemed like they took their game to another level in the second half particularly.
Yeah, they did. They took it to a level in which I didn't expect them to. My whole thing was before the game started, I said, I need how many carries today? Remember how many carries did
25.
I want? I wanted 25.
Yeah.
I got 26. Okay. I got 24.
But Kai Sargent got you over the top.
He did. Kai Sargent, he gave me 2, which gave us to 26. So I wanted to see the Rams run the ball at least 25 times. They got the 26 today. And it did open up a lot more for them offensively. I love to see them having to go through different personnel groupings and force the Jaguars to have to substitute personnel. That's a lot on the defense, having to go, hey, what are we in? What are we in? Are we in base? Are we in nickel? Are we in dime? Are we in tiger? That's a lot of communication. And I know, for instance, for me, when I was a player, Travis, that was a lot, because I had to, to quote one of my coaches, you had to always remember what hat you're wearing, because different personnel groupings ask for different things. If the Rams bring out that big heavy package, I got to know, hey, heavy package, hey, alert, heavy run here. Okay, they bring in their 11 package, the Rams did. Okay, now I got to be alert for the running back late or the tight end Higbee. So there's a lot of thinking that goes into it. The Rams had made it fairly easy last couple weeks because they were down too. But when they were able to hold a lead, that's when I thought they were able to be a little more creative and handle some plays.
Yeah, you talk about playing with the lead. It's something they have not done in the better part of a month. They got off to a pretty good start, actually a very good start. We saw the opening kickoff return to the plus side of the 50 for the first time all season long. A nice return by Brandon Powell for 65 yards. They end up kicking a field goal on that drive from Matt Gay, hits a 40-yarder. But just getting that lead, just getting started right out of the chute, putting points on the board, it did feel like they just had a little bit of a different bounce in their step today.
Yeah, a little bit different bounce. It was more of a bounce of, okay, we need this more than you do.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham Jr. had a good big game. Cooper Kupp had a big game. Everybody just I thought overall played well. There were some things that definitely are going to be corrected, but a lot of it wasn't because of effort. I thought the defense played about as best as they could today against a scrappy team that was trying to find anything, and they played well. And Aaron Donald, we hadn't called his name over the last couple of weeks, but he made some of those splash plays to let everybody know, hey, I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. Forcing a fumble, had a sack and a half today as well. So, to me, I still see him as one of the best in the league. And he came out today and had a couple plays to just make sure that we don't forget about him.
It may be a bit of an oversimplification, but I think it's also incredibly important. Rams didn't turn the ball over today. It's the first time in a month where they have not had a turnover. Matthew Stafford was clean today, 26 out of 38, just under 300 yards, 295. He had 3 touchdown passes, but most importantly, no interceptions. They just made Jacksonville have to do everything on their own. They didn't give them any freebies.
Yeah, they can. You have to make sure that you take care of the football. You did that. You actually, what was your thing today?
No turnovers.
No turnovers.
Yep.
How'd they do?
Yep.
No turnover.
We both got what we wanted. Nice day.
That's why we should coach, man. Listen to us.
Well,
what I mean?
Don't throw it to the other team and run the ball. We're geniuses, right? We're like Bill Belichick over here. 37-7, the final score from SoFi Stadium. The Rams are now 8-4. We have a whole bunch to get to, including a conversation with the head coach of the Rams, Sean McVay. That's all straight ahead on the Coors Light postgame show on the ESPN LA Rams Radio Network. 7-7 is the final score from SoFi Stadium. The Rams are now 8-4 after a 30-point victory over Jacksonville. Jacksonville falls to 2-10 on the season. And you mentioned it a second ago, Kirk, talking about those different packages that we saw from the Rams today.
Yeah.
In particular, we saw a lot of Joe Noteboom as a tackle eligible today, kind of that jumbo package. And it wasn't just once or twice. It was something they went to repeatedly during the game, a great deal of success on the ground when they came in there. Is that because of something that Jacksonville was showing them, or is that might be something we might see next week against Arizona and moving forward?
I think we may see more of that against Arizona and moving forward. I thought Torrey Holt talked about it in our pregame show, talking about the loss of Johnny Munt, the tight end. The Rams don't really have a two tight end set where you feel like you've got some guys who can get some movement up front in the run game. So what you do is you bring in an extra tackle who is not going out for a pass, but just there to block. And you know, that's what the personnel grouping, I call it 13T. One back, three tight ends, but one of the tight ends, the T part, when I say 13T, is a tackle. And you see that with the Baltimore Ravens a ton. I mean, the Ravens will go 14T on you. So they won't even put a wide receiver out there. But that's what I saw the Rams do today. And it was great because now all of a sudden, think about this right side of the offensive line when they had Noteboom and they had Rob Havenstein, and you got Corbett, and then you also had Higbee out there too. So now you've got extra sets of beef, and you saw the lanes. It was 5-6 yards of carry for Sony Michel early on, and I just want to see if the Rams had the ability to. It doesn't have to be every single play, but I did see the Rams have the ability to do it, and it also can now expand that playbook. And when they get into 31, you don't have to always be in shotgun.
Well, it did look like they were under center a little bit more than they typically have been this season, and seemed to have to run those formations to a great deal of success as well. And look, Sean McVay obviously is an incredibly gifted offensive mind, but it was pretty 1 + 1 = 2 when you run the ball successfully, which they did today, 128 yards on 27 carries for the Rams. It opens up the passing game. The WAOs that you talked about, those wide-ass opens that we had not seen for a couple of weeks, they were back today, and you just have to kind of think and jump to the conclusion that the reason that the WAOs were there is because that they were running the ball.
Yeah, running the football and able to have guys key in on the run, and now Matthew Stafford can turn his back to the defense and not have to worry about guys all in his face. He was able to, turn his back and have guys running wide open. I thought that was the chemistry part of doing it over and over again, Travis, was that last week he missed Odell Beckham Jr. twice on those, dragging routes from across the field, those underneath crossing routes. He hit that in stride today for Odell, and you could just see that it was just a bit different, right? Just the chemistry was there, but running the football definitely gave him a little more open window.
That throw that you're talking about, the throw to Beckham in the first quarter, that little drag across from left to right, it was a throw that was on the money, on stride. Beckham catches it, and he's up the right side. It was a 25-yard completion and set the Rams up for their first touchdown of the game. Sony Michel goes in from the 5-yard line at that point. But it was a throw that we've seen Matt Stafford make a handful of times in the last couple of weeks where he either missed it completely or it wasn't on target, where the receiver would have to slow down or whatever it was. That was the moment like, oh, okay, this feels like Matthew Stafford is having a better day, because that was a throw, not an easy throw, not a super difficult throw either, but a throw that was on time, on target, and allowing him to catch and run.
Yeah, you just knew he's in tune. Or he's in the zone now because he's making that one look routine. That's what and that's all we would ask for, is that make the easy throws look routine, and he did that. Whereas before he struggled. He couldn't make those throws.
What did you make of his performance today? You look at the numbers; they were fantastic.
Yeah.
26 out of 38, 295 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only got sacked once, but there were a couple of throws that were just like, holy smoke! Look at that. The one he made to Cooper Kupp early in the third quarter up the right side was just an absolute dime. But there were some other balls that seemed to sail on him a little bit.
Yeah, I think that the hard part, I think, is that he's trying to fit sometimes. The confidence in your own arm is that you can make every throw. I had a quarterback like that in Ryan Fitzpatrick when I was in Buffalo. It didn't matter. He was so confident in his ability to read defenses and his arm that he felt that he could put a ball in any area. And so sometimes you look at and see something that probably wasn't there. I mean, you saw a pass that, look, Odell seemed to be open. If he hits it right on the rope, it's a tight window. But also your receiver pays for it at the end because there's a safety, trying to pipe down on him. So you have to find different ways, Travis, to, I think, come together within an offense and say, you know what, I'm not going to make that throw because it's a dangerous throw. I'm not saying don't be scared, but you know that there are certain windows that I don't know if I'm putting the ball in that window is definitely going to hurt me or hurt the team with an interception.
That's got to be one of those things that it just comes with experience. Matthew Stafford is his 13th year in the NFL, so certainly he is as about experienced a guy as you're going to find. That when do I have to throw that in there, and when can I not? When do I not have to take that chance? For you're talking about whether it's putting your guy in a position to take a big hit, whether late in the game and hey, we just got to do it. This is one of these times where I have to try to thread it in there, but at the same time, staying aggressive, looking for opportunities to make plays without being reckless with the football.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Being reckless with the football sometimes is what has gotten Matthew Stafford to where he is because he has no fear, and having no fear, you feel like you can make every throw. But I think you also have to look at some of the situations that you're being put in. If you're in 3rd and long, then you have to make those kind of throws because you got to move the chains. But if you're in 3rd and short, 3rd and medium, a little bit different. That's why I saw the Rams. They're a little more 3rd and short, 3rd and medium today, and not those 3rd down long distance. And the one that they did, I remember in the first quarter again. Look, the game was still in reach for Jacksonville, but if Ben Skoronek's able to hold on to that 3rd and 13, the ball bounces off his hand, Travis, that could be points right there.
Yeah.
I mean, this game really,
and that was a good throw.
It could have got out of hand quickly, but the Rams kind of let the Jaguars hang in there for a bit.
Yeah, they did. It was a weird first half, and it felt like the Rams come out, they score a field goal right away. They have the big return, they get a field goal, and it felt like, okay, well, Jacksonville actually kind of won that one because they didn't give up a touchdown.
Right.
Then they fumble, the Rams very quickly score a touchdown, and it felt like, okay, here we go. This could be a 42-10 sort of day. Mm-hmm. And the second quarter was mostly Jacksonville, and all of a sudden you go in a half, and while it was still 16-7 and the Rams felt like they were in control of the game had not been decided at that point. Then you come out in the second half, and it's all Rams, and the end of the game felt a lot like the first 2 possessions of the game, and everything in between was a little different.
Yeah, getting those 3 and outs, those are what helps. Right, you get a team to get 3 and out or don't convert on a couple of 3rd down conversions, and all of a sudden now you have an opportunity to get off the field. And look, the Jaguars realize that look, we're not going to win a shootout. That's just not what we're going to do. But what we can do is try to run a little ball more with James Robinson, and then also Carlos Hyde. So they started to run the football a little bit more and just try to keep a little bit more balance. You can see Trevor Lawrence, there's a reason why he was the first overall pick. He makes some throws. But then, honestly, his receiving group, not the best group. He's still young in some areas. And I think that's some of the reasons why we talk about, why isn't he – well, think about who he's throwing to.
Yeah. Well, and I want to come back. We can talk about this on the other side, too. Plus, we'll hear from the head coach of the Rams, Sean McVay. I'm surprised they don't run Trevor Lawrence more. I mean, he's a guy that can make some plays with his legs. I understand they don't want to get him smacked around.
Correct, yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, when you're talking about no weapons offensively and one of your best weapons is a quarterback who can tuck it and go a little bit, we will do that. Coming up next on the Coors Light Postgame Show on the ESPN LA Rams Radio Network.
Diabetes.
Hollywood Park Casino. Elevate your game.
Once again, here's Travis Rodgers and Kirk Morrison.
Feels good to say it, Kirk. The Rams win 37-7 over the Jacksonville Jaguars today at SoFi Stadium. And we were just talking a little bit. I had some people come to the game today that got to see SoFi for the first time.
Yeah.
I know I'm a broken record on this. Every time I walk into that place, it's just, are you kidding me? I don't know if it's ever going to wear off, but we are getting towards the end of the season. We're in December, and every time I walk in, I'm like, you have to be kidding me with this place.
It's something new every time, Travis. For me, something new every single time. Like, I'm watching it, I get there, and I'm like, I wonder what it looks like on that level.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're just looking at the different tier levels of seating. When you look at a brand new set of suites or regular seats, and we're not even talking about just the actual walking around the concourse, just doing a lap around the stadium. And every time I'm there, I always feel like you mentioned, we have a family member or friend, someone's coming for the first time, and they're like, man, like, I said, look, just enjoy it. Just look around, take some pictures, and just hopefully you can come back again and see it again. Just soak it all in. Because it
really
is
something
a lot.
else.
It is.
It is really something else. If you get an opportunity, make sure that you jump on that. 37-7 was the final score. The Rams all over the Jags. J.B. Long had a chance to catch up with Sean McVay after the win.
Welcome back to SoFi Stadium, where the Rams beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 37-7, a wire-to-wire victory. Sean McVay joins us now from the Rams locker room. And, Coach, our compliments on the game plan and the execution. You could feel the work that your group put in this week at CLU. How did this one feel?
Yeah, it felt great. You know, we talked about playing a complimentary game all week. Just so proud of our group, so proud of the resilience of these guys. Got to be able to build on it, but I thought it was an outstanding reflection of, you know, all hands on deck, utilizing everybody, and a lot of really good things for today.
Coach, Ernest Jones comes in some passing situations to play really well. What kind of was the thought process about that?
He did a great job. Now, he's been playing all year. He's been really playing, you know, the majority of the games and most of those snaps, and so he's done an outstanding job. Ernest is a guy that, you know, we're really building around, and he's, you know, really ever since that Texans game, he's really taken a lot of steps in the right direction and really asserted himself as our, you know, inside backer on all downs.
On offense, we'll ask you about Sony Michel here with 24 carries for 121 and a touchdown, but really we're asking you about the entire operation, which included extra tight ends and linemen and receivers getting in the mix as well to pave the way.
Yeah, we need to be able to utilize all of our personnel. We've had some guys get banged up, but, you know, Joe Noteboom came in. Really proud of Sony Michel. Not surprised, but for him to go 24 and 120 or whatever he ended up with, you know, I thought he leveled runs off. He was tough all day. Thought Matthew managed the game outstanding. You know, to come out the second half and have Cooper Kupp come to life on that drive, I thought that really kind of sparked the second half. And our defense was great from the jump. Really, the only drive that they were able to sustain was kind of stuff where we allowed it to based on penalties and things like that. I thought they were great all day.
And last thing, Sean, I have to ask you about the kicking game, which really delivered from the opening kick with Brandon Powell through Matt Gay's field goals and even the punt there down by Rochelle late.
That was great, man. I was so proud of those guys. You know, Brandon Powell to be able to start the game off with a 65-yard return, get us in a short field, that's big-time stuff. You know, those are the things that we have to be able to do if we're going to go where we want to go. And we got to take it one day at a time. But I thought all three phases contributed in a big way. It's what good teams do. And, you know, our guys are a resilient group, and now let's build on it.
You and your staff and your team deserve this one. Enjoy it.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Sean McVay from SoFi Stadium following a 30-point blowout of the Jaguars.
All right, thanks, JB. So you could see, just we've talked about it, there's a little bit of a bounce in his step or in his voice at least. I think everybody inside the organization, the coaching staff, the players, just everybody, let's just win a game and get back to who we are. You could hear it in Sean McVay's voice as well.
You just want to get a game. That's all you want. Get a game. And they finally got a game. They needed it. You could just sense it. There was some tension. And to me, for the first time in about 3 weeks, they had a little fun today, right? There was some fun. I mean,
being up 30 points helps.
It does help. You know, you got guys scoring touchdowns now, and you know, making it, making it seem as if, hey, look, hey, this is fun, this is cool, this is actually a little bit different for us. So, you know, my hats off to everybody for getting the job done today, because I know it feels good. You walk around that locker room and says, whew. We just needed that. And now, look, I'm telling you, it's just like the Detroit Lions who won for the first time today. Like, they have a confidence next week that they can go and win. We're never surprised. Remember last year the Jets came in, they beat the Rams, hadn't won a game, and then what did they do the next week? Went out there and won another one. Because it's the confidence that
That's
you
why
get
Trevor
from
Lawrence is in Jacksonville and not in New York City. But yeah,
I forgot. Yeah, yeah. But
sometimes winning may not be the best idea in the world, but for the Rams, it certainly was. The player of the game is presented by Verizon. With 5G built right for the Rams, Los Angeles can scream, stream, and share every play in Verizon 5G quality. A lot of candidates today for player of the game. Kirk, who you got?
wow, a lot of candidates. But oh man, this is a tough one, Travis, because I really liked Sony Michel today.
Sure.
Even though he didn't have the the monstrous numbers. When was the last time we said a Rams running back went over 100 yards rushing?
First time all season.
So 24 carries, 121 yards, and the touchdown. I'm going to go with that one, man. I'm going to go with Sony Michel. He's my player of the game today because, I like the rushing attack. It worked today.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Another good candidate, Cooper Kupp, 8 catches, 129 yards. He had another touchdown along the way. He also went over 100 receptions on the season in just the 13th week of the season. So Cooper Kupp continues to have just an absolutely monstrous season. He could have had Odell Beckham. He only had a couple of catches, but both of them big. One was a very short one for a touchdown, a 1-yard touchdown reception. The other one, that 27-yarder that we talked about, just kind of up and down the offensive line, too. Kept Matthew Stafford pretty clean today.
Yeah, it was one of those loud catches. But the offensive line, look, remember they were down Brian Allen in the center early on. David Edwards was down for a second, and he ended up coming back. And, look, for overall, I thought that they did a good job of hanging in there, staying pat. There's always corrections, but I also thought, too, bringing in that extra lineman also be able to calm guys down a little bit, too, Travis. When you calm guys down, tell them, hey, relax a little bit. We're fine. It's actually pretty cool. So, sorry, I got a lot going on right now.
Yeah, no.
San Francisco and Seattle, the last play of the game.
We're going to get to that one as well. Seattle with a 7-point lead. Here we go. Jimmy Garoppolo with a pass deflected, 4th and goal, so incomplete. That's the ball game. The 49ers are going to lose to Seattle. So a little opportunity
right there. That's a great day for the Rams.
You go into Arizona next week, and all of a sudden you got a whole another opportunity as well, because now if you beat them, now you are square up 1-1 against them. Now you just need Arizona to drop one more game along the way, and those tiebreakers can break a million different ways that we've seen 100 different times. You mentioned it a second ago. Brian Allen got hurt on the very first play of the game. Coleman Shelton comes in and replaces him. We'll see what his status is moving forward, but what about that? What if all of a sudden you have to play the next couple of weeks, or who knows how long it might be, without Brian Allen? Losing somebody along the offensive line, always a challenge, but the center in particular.
Welcome to the NFL.
Yeah.
Welcome to the NFL, honestly. Everybody's going through something, and the Rams are going to have to figure it out. Hopefully it's not a season-ending injury, but, the Rams are going to have to figure something out. They're going to have to start running the football even more.
All right, you just mentioned the Seahawks and the 49ers. Let's take a look around the rest of the NFL when we come back on the Coors Light Postgame Show on the ESPN LA Rams Radio Network.
Rodgers and Kirk Morrison.
Busy week 13 in the NFL, Kirk. Not only do the Rams get back on the right side of things 37-7, but a lot of action going on in the NFC West as well. You know, we're going to see Arizona. They already won their game earlier today in Chicago, but we just had an upset. Seattle, who had, you know, one of their worst seasons in a very long time. They beat the San Francisco 49ers today. Now, all of a sudden, the Rams have a little breathing room on the backside, and, you know, you get Arizona coming up next, an opportunity to really tighten up the top of the NFC West.
So just to put it in perspective, the Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks couldn't walk across the street in Washington on last Monday night. Couldn't walk across the street without stumbling, right? And then all of a sudden, they go and beat one of the hottest teams in the NFL and the San Francisco 49ers at home. Right, I mean, just and score 30 points in doing it.
30-23 final score.
They couldn't score. They couldn't do anything last Monday versus Washington. I'm not saying Washington is the greatest team ever, but come on, the NFL, man, week in and week out, you just never can. Being in that locker room, I can tell you, that was a long flight from whether in Dulles or Reagan Airport all the way to Seattle. That's a long flight, by the way, about 6 hours almost. And you have to think about that in your mind. You're thinking like, I'm flying back. And it's one thing when you win because you have a different mindset, but you lost. And so now you're like, man, I can't wait to get out there again. You start practicing, you feel better. And the Seattle Seahawks have helped the Rams today.
The top three performances of the day are brought to you by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good times. Let's go through some of these other games as well, Kirk. And we saw the Steelers. You know, here we go again. It just goes to prove how hard it is to win one of these games in the NFL. The Steelers, who felt like they were kind of stuck in neutral, that they hadn't played good football in a while, they win today against one of the teams that's probably one of the favorites in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens. They win 20-19 when Baltimore's two-point conversion attempt at the end of the game comes up short.
Yeah, a game of two-point conversions because Pittsburgh, they get their two-point conversion to make it a 7-point game, and then on the opposite end, Baltimore drives down, scores a touchdown, and tries to go for two instead of.
What do you make of that decision?
It's hardball.
Yeah,
and I'd rather him do that than let's settle it in overtime.
Yeah, you got a chance to win. You got Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Let's give it a shot.
And we're on the road too. Yeah. Like I'm not going to have this momentum. Let's just do it now. And they barely missed a play. And I don't think there's a guy in that locker room saying, "Coach, why didn't we kick the field goal?"
No, and they're still in pretty good shape. They're probably going to win that division. They're most likely going to go to the playoffs. So they're just fine. Just one of those. They're 8-4 on the season. Here's some breaking news, Kirk. Tom Brady, good at football. 368 yards for Tom Brady today. He threw 4 touchdown passes, 30-17 over the Atlanta Falcons. And here we are with the Bucs again. This is another team that when we talk about the NFC, you talk about Green Bay, you talk about Arizona, the Rams, the Dallas Cowboys, and, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending champs, with a nice win today.
Yeah, huge win. Look, Rob Gronkowski, another 2 touchdowns today. Isn't this guy wasn't he retired 2 years ago?
It goes to show you a little time off, get that body freshened up a little bit.
Yeah. You just rejuvenize, wants to play football again. And I think it's a little easier playing football down in a warm weather city, down in Tampa.
Look, and playing for Bruce Arians is probably a little more enjoyable than doing it for Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, a great coach, but probably a pretty heavy presence to be around for 9 months out of the year.
I'm just saying, there's something going on in Tampa and Arizona. All right, there's a reason why these two franchises seem to be winning a ton of games right now.
You mentioned the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona wins 33-22 in Chicago. Kyler Murray back for the first time in a while. He looked pretty good doing it. The Cardinals 10-2, Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, best team in football record-wise, and they continue to win. They got through the rough patch of their season where their quarterback was injured. Now he is fully healthy, and we saw what it looked like today. In a monsoon, for the most part, in Chicago, they were able to come out, play their game, and Kyler Murray just put the game on his shoulders. I can run, I can throw. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. He did it to great perfection today.
We've talked about Russell Wilson the last couple of seasons and how dual threat he is and just a really scary guy every time he drops back, whether he's going to throw a pass, whether he's going to run with it, he's going to make a good decision. Yeah. It feels like Kyler Murray has kind of evolved into that position. Every time he goes back, you kind of, oh boy, hold on, because you just don't know what he's going to. He's such a dynamic, such an explosive athlete.
Yeah, but I think the one thing is that he hasn't taken those chances, though, to where no one's really got a shot on him.
Yeah.
Like the one time when he hurt the ankle a couple weeks back, it wasn't on a somebody hitting him. He just got tackled wrong in the sack, I believe. So he's actually decreased some of those plays in which he's put himself in harm's way. But today he only threw the ball 15 times. They ran the ball 20 times by James Conner, another 10 carries for Kyler Murray. Rondale Moore had a couple of carries, Benjamin. Like they have morphed into whatever the game needs from me, whatever you guys need from me today, I'll do. That's where I think Kyler Murray is showing how he can expand his game.
Bizarre game in Cincinnati today. The Chargers beat the Bengals 41-22. They had a 16-0 lead at one point. They also had a 24-22 lead in the third quarter. And then they win 17, or they get 17 points in the fourth quarter to win by 19 points. Just a strange game between two teams that'll probably both end up in the postseason.
It was a battle of who was going to win the turnover margin. And it was a +1 for the Chargers, even though they turned it over 3 times. Austin Eckler put it on the ground a couple times. But on the other side, Joe Burrow, he had 2 interceptions. He had a couple fumbles as well. So 4 turnovers in all against the Chargers. That's the reason why Cincinnati won. You give Herbert and the Chargers some credit. They're 7-5 right now. They're right now second place in the AFC West because of the Raiders losing. And we'll see what happens tonight with Kansas City and in Denver. It could be a 3-way tie up top. The AFC West. How about that?
Yeah, no, the AFC West is incredibly tight, and the Chargers are Jekyll and Hyde. You just never know what you're going to get. You mentioned it during the pregame show. They're NFC doppelganger, the team that is Jekyll and Hyde on the other half of the draw, the Minnesota Vikings.
Yo, man.
Jared Goff and the Lions got their first win of the season. They are now 1-10-1 after a 29-27 win against Minnesota. They win the game on the final play. Jared Goff with a touchdown pass.
Man, congrats to Jared Goff. His first win without Sean McVay.
That's
all I kept thinking about.
So weird to say out loud, but you're right.
That's all I kept thinking about was finally Jared Goff won a game without Sean McVay being his head coach and play caller. I thought that was awesome today. And just overall for the city of Detroit, I mean, they were here and think about all the people we saw in the Detroit Lions jerseys, man. They were here. They came out in droves. And, they come and cheer loud. And watching those fans still show up regardless. And, for them to win today, that was big. I hate seeing teams go winless, especially it's one thing if you're just a bad football team, but they're actually a team. They're not
a
bad.
good team, but put it to you this way. We saw Jacksonville today. We saw Detroit a couple of weeks ago. Detroit is light years better than Jacksonville.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and we've seen Houston. They're pretty bad. Detroit's a better football team. Houston's won a couple of games along the way. The New York Giants are not a good football team. They have 4 wins on the season. Detroit may have just gotten their first win today, but they do not feel as bad as some of those other teams.
No, not at all. They feel like a team that's actually a competitive team. If you don't show up, they will beat you. I mean, look, they lost on the last-second field goal on Thanksgiving. It's just a 56-yard field goal early on and by Lamar Jackson in the Ravens, or 66-yard field goal, I should say. Sorry.
Justin Tucker. Just a bomb. Who else can do that? Just the only guy on earth that can probably make that kick.
So they've had those situations all year long, and happy they're on the opposite side.
So let's stick with the Minnesota Vikings for a second, because the Rams are going to have to go to Minnesota in 3 weeks. They play at Arizona on Monday night, a week from tomorrow. They come back to SoFi against the Seattle Seahawks in Week 15. Then on the road, Week 16 at Minnesota. Minnesota's 5-7. They're still very much in the NFC playoff picture, but like you mentioned, a lot like the Chargers, you never know what you're going to get. Is Minnesota a good football team or not?
That's the hard part, because you never know each week. You look at them on paper and you say, yeah, they are a good football team because they can go out. 2 weeks ago, they beat the Green Bay Packers, and you say, well, here they come. And they lose 2 weeks in a row. They lose to the Detroit Lions this week. Last week, they lose to the San Francisco 49ers. And then the Rams are going to go out there and they're going to play that noon kickoff. That noon kickoff. It's going to be a tough one, man. That's an early kick.
And a place that they have not had a great deal of success. That's been one of the places that they've gone a handful of times under Sean McVay and really have not played their best football there. So an opportunity to get that one squared away as well. And then finally, Kirk, the Washington football team, they even up their record. Washington is a playoff team at this point, and they're right on the heels of the Dallas Cowboys all of a sudden as well. They moved to 6-6 after beating the Raiders today 17-15.
They are. Tyler Heineke has been outstanding for them. They won on the last-second field goal. And Ron Rivera, 4 wins in a row for this football team. And we always look at record now versus record when they first started. I mean, this team could have been blown up early on. Everybody was like, everybody's out of it. But you looking at them, they've crawled their way back into a situation where December, they can actually, like you mentioned, be in the running to win this division.
Yeah, you look at it right now, and this is one of our favorite things, Kirk, to talk about. If the playoffs started today, not only is the football team in, but they're in as the 6th seed. They're not even the last team in. San Francisco would be the final team at 6-6, and then right on their heels, the Philadelphia Eagles at 6-7. The Minnesota Vikings still very much in it at 5-7. Carolina, Atlanta, and New Orleans all sitting at 5-7 as well. So it is still a very wide open NFC playoff picture. Once you get past the Rams, the next 2 spots, it feels like they're still up for grabs with 5 games to go.
Yeah, New Orleans. You mentioned New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Minnesota, Philly. It's a lot going on in the NFC, man.
It's going to come down to that week 18. We haven't gotten to say that all season long.
Yeah.
It sounds weird, right, to say it that the week
Just
18
don't flex
games.
us.
No,
Don't flex the Rams.
No, I don't need to see the Rams. I don't need that Rams and Niners game to mean
Everybody
anything.
kick it off at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, let's not do that at all. All right, we still have a lot more to get to, including the Rams and their 37-7 win today at SoFi Stadium. That's all coming up on the Coors Light postgame show on the ESPN LA Rams Radio Network. points since 2018, Kirk. And, I can't imagine what it's got to feel like in their locker room, what it's got to feel like in Sean McVay's office, knowing that you finally got back on the right side, because you and I were talking a little bit during the break. It just feels like there's a little bit of bounce just in the air, having finally gotten that losing streak off of your back.
Yeah, man, it's a bounce. It's a feeling. It's a, we always say that sometimes now that you get a win and the steak tastes a little bit better, the wine is just a little bit better tonight. The vodka is just flowing. It's always better when you win.
Absolutely. So, can you take some of that momentum that they created today? Obviously, the offense looked very good. The defense only gave up 7 points. We heard Sean McVay say earlier that the one drive that Jacksonville was able to put together was more the result of the Rams making some mistakes, some careless penalties along
Correct.
the way, than it was that Jacksonville moved the ball. Can you take some of that momentum and apply it a week from tomorrow night when the Rams go on Monday Night Football against the Arizona Cardinals? You're not playing a team that's 2-10. You're going to be playing a team that's 10-2.
Yeah, and I think also, too, you're going on the road. I think it's a lot different now. I look at the Rams, and everybody's been dog cussing them for the last 2 weeks now, 3 weeks. I think it's a different mindset now, too. And this is what I was hoping for them, is that they can actually take on the mindset of being an underdog now. Because before, the expectations were Super Bowl, Rams enter the bus. You lose 3 in a row, people have stopped the Super Bowl talk. What's wrong with Sean McVay? What's wrong with Matthew Stafford? And I think that dust has now started to settle a little bit, that no one's talking Rams in Super Bowl anymore or Rams in playoffs. That's better for the Rams, because now you don't have to worry about what you're expected to do. Just go out there and do what you're supposed to do, which is just win each week. At the end of the year, we'll stack them up. But right now, I love the way that this team has kind of transformed itself into an underdog rather than a favorite.
What did you make of Odell Beckham Jr.'s performance today? Just a couple of catches, but one of them early in the game that set up their first touchdown, and then he got a touchdown of his own on a 1-yard touchdown catch early in the fourth quarter that kind of blew the game open. Gave them that 30-point lead along the way, but he draws so much attention that it does seem that Cooper Kupp was able to really thrive because OBJ was getting so many eyeballs on him.
Yeah, he's not 100% yet, too.
Yeah.
So I think you still get – and with each passing week, he'll get better and better. He'll understand the terminology. I think we'll see a much better Odell Beckham Jr. as the season goes along. I mean, just to think about it, they're in a rough they're in a patch of the season where they're still getting better, Travis. And I think they'll be probably about as whole of an offense probably by week 17, week 18. They'll be able to be humming and not have to really worry about where Odell Beckham Jr. lines up at, but he could just go out there and play freely.
It's only the third game that he's played, and really only the second game where he's been a regular part of what they've been able to do. But he's got a couple of touchdowns. That's exactly right. And it does seem that today in particular, Kirk, that there was some rhythm, that there was some connectivity between himself and Matt Stafford that had not been there in the previous games.
And I'm not taking anything away from Robert Woods, who was just outstanding. There are some plays within this offense that Robert Woods will continuously make, and I would have loved to have seen Robert Woods, Odell Beckham, and also Cooper Kupp, and just out there on the field at one time. I would have loved to see that, because I'm telling the defense, pick your poison. You want to take away the big threat of Odell Beckham, or because if you do that, you got one-on-one with Cooper Kupp, or you get one-on-one with Robert Woods, who's one of the experienced route runners who is just a grinder. So to me, I'm hating that I don't get a chance to see all three of them on the field, but I am seeing that Odell Beckham Jr. still garners a lot of attention that opens up a lot for Van Jefferson and also Cooper Kupp.
Van Jefferson with a touchdown today as well. So all three of the Rams wide receivers found the end zone at one point today. When are we going to have a postgame show where you and I are talking about Von Miller getting after the quarterback? Because, and again, Jacksonville really did not put the ball in the air a whole bunch today. Trevor Lawrence still, fairly limited in what he's doing, 16 for 28, 145 yards. And even when they were way behind, they weren't throwing the ball all over the yard. When will we get to see Von Miller as Von Miller?
Yeah, I think it's coming. I mean, his time will come. Right now, the Rams today, I think obviously Jacksonville tried to go what everybody else did before them. They tried to run the football, and it worked at times, but for a lot of times it didn't work. And so the Rams were doing what I thought defensively. They were able to put a little bit of pressure. They only would have had 3 sacks today, and it was more of a Trevor Lawrence evading the rush, and they got him down. So it's still been difficult because teams are getting rid of the football quick. They're not allowing the rush to get there. I know you have 3 premier pass rushers. I can't hold on the ball. I can't pat the ball. And so quarterbacks are getting rid of it quickly. But I think his time is coming. He's going to find a way that he can rip off 3 or 4 in a row. So I think Von Miller still has that in him.
Like I mentioned, Trevor Lawrence didn't do a ton today, but there were a couple of throws that made you go, oh, right, that's
the first
that
rounder.
right there is
Yeah.
why he was the first overall pick.
Oh, correct. You're absolutely right. He made some throws, made some plays with his feet, and I think overall you understand why. People in Jacksonville, happy that they have him, but they know they got to surround him with a lot more talent.
Yeah, they got a long way to go. As far, some of the teams that we've seen so far this season, like we talked about a minute ago, Jacksonville was really, I mean, maybe briefly in the second quarter they had a little bit, but like Sean McVay mentioned, just not a ton of things that the Jacksonville Jags were doing well. It's more that the Rams were not doing well. Kirk, we got a lot to get to. We're going to hear from Sean McVay. We're going to hear from Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. We're going to hear from Matthew Stafford along the way as well. I want to have a conversation, too, about what's going on with the Rams special teams, because while they did make a couple of better plays today, there were still some issues along the way as well. The Rams win 37-7 at SoFi Stadium today against the visiting Jacksonville Jags, who fall to 2-10. This is the Coors Light postgame show on the ESPN LA Rams Radio Network.
Show, live at Hollywood Park Casino. Hollywood Park Casino. Elevate your game.
Now,
Here's Travis Rodgers and Kirk Morrison.
The losing streak is over. The Rams are 8-4 after a 30-point victory over the Jacksonville Jags. 37-7 is the final score from SoFi Stadium, Kirk, and got to be nice just to flush that losing streak and get moving forward and get ready for the Arizona Cardinals coming up a week from tomorrow night and just feel good about playing football for a week.
It feels good to win. I think everybody does. You feel that. It's a different, the weather feels better. The food tastes better. Just everybody, you just want to hug people. Oh my God, we won. Everybody wants to go out. Hey, let's go hang out. Let's go do this. It does. It does bring a sense of camaraderie. And I think the Rams, they've been this is the first win since they've signed or traded for Von Miller. It's the first win they've had since they've signed Odell Beckham Jr. So you have all these pieces that you're trying to also bring into your culture. And everyone's saying, oh, they're not a good fit for your culture. Well, today was a win. And that's all that matters, is that it worked for today, and you can see the promise for tomorrow.
24 carries for Sony Michel today. This is something that you and I have harped on for the last several weeks. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball.
Yeah.
Namely, they didn't fall behind quickly today, so they had an opportunity to establish their running game. Sony Michel, 24 carries for 121 yards. It's the first Rams running back to go over 100 yards on the ground all season long. He was fantastic today.
Yeah, he was awesome. When they gave the ball to him, they could have gave him to him a little more. And remember, he was the only back truly available for the Rams. Daryl Henderson was a guy who that they had available, but he didn't play. Not able to play, but he was active. He was in uniform, but he didn't. He didn't look like he wanted to play.
Yeah.
So he still could be banged up a little bit, and he wasn't 100%. But I could tell him looking at Sony Michel, he said, hey, why weren't y'all doing these extra tight ends and sets for me when I was out there? So it was a little more running lanes today for the Rams. And I want to know, was that part of the game plan of Sean McVay realizing I have to be better at some things? And so I think that's going to be huge going forward, is if this team can really piggyback off of a solid win today. Not a great win. It was a solid win, because Jacksonville's 2-9. Now they're 2-10 for a reason. But you did what you're supposed to do.
They took care of business. 37-7, the final score. Here's the head coach of the Rams, Sean McVay, speaking after the win.
Okay, guys, great team win. That was exactly what we had talked about. A lot of respect for those guys. They're a really tough football team. But for us to come out ready to go all three phases, I thought there was major contributors in all three phases. But winning the turnover battle, doing a lot of the things that we had talked about, it really came to life. It was awesome to see Brandon Powell be able to start the game off with a big kick return. I thought that was big from special teams. We didn't turn the football over offensively. We got takeaways. We got after the quarterback. So there's a lot of things that we're really very positive about today. We got to be able to build on this. I also thought, really tough to see Brian Allen get injured. Don't really have any information on his knee. I'll have updates for you guys tomorrow. But Coleman Shelton stepped in and did an outstanding job. I thought he had great poise throughout. David Edwards was able to return, and then Sony really carrying the load. Did an outstanding job, just like I thought he would. Exactly what we had talked about. We were able to stay on schedule. We were able to keep people off balance. I thought it was good to be able to mix up a lot of different personnel groupings, really utilize all hands on deck. It was good to get Joe Noteboom in there. Sony was great. And so that was exactly what we had kind of talked about, and it was great to see it come to life, Jordan. Yeah, I think he's doing good, Lindsey. He had the hip pointer. He's a little bit banged up, but he still wanted to contribute for his teammates. I thought that 27-yard catch that he had really was something that kind of sparked us, and then Sony ended up punching it in from 5 out, and then he had a great touchdown on the fade. He definitely took his time and was nice and patient on that one, but he's a joy to be around, and he's only going to continue to get better, but hopefully he'll be able to practice so he can continue to get the timing and rhythm, but been pleased with Odell. He could have, we had him up, if some circumstances presented themselves. Hopefully he'll continue to take steps in the right direction. But based on how the game unfolded, we didn't feel like we really needed him. But I think it's a real positive reflection on Daryl to be available for his teammates if that did come up. Yeah, I saw a guy manage the game. I thought he did a great job. I thought on some of the third downs, he's doing a great job being able to move in the pocket, find guys. We had a couple drops that were really, key and critical potentially, but we were able to overcome them. What I loved about both Van and Ben being able to drop some of those third downs is both those guys came back and made big plays. Ben on the 35-yarder down the middle was a big-time catch that we had to have it versus the pressure that they were giving us. And then, Van to be able to come back on the touchdown. He did a great job. But Matthew, he played like he's been playing. I think we were able to avoid, just a couple of those little things that do come up. But he was a great leader today. He's always been a great leader, and he played great. Not in the least bit surprised. Well, I think anytime, really, if you're just going to go ahead and say, let's go find a way to compete, to the best of our ability next week against a great football team. And so he's our guy. We go as he goes. But the best thing that I would say is he doesn't have to do anything other than play within himself. That quarterback position is so vital to the success, but he's such a special talent. He's got just such a great way about himself with people. Just keep being himself and enjoying playing, and that's what I saw from him today. And to be able to come back after that shot he took, deliver a great throw to Van over the middle and get us in scoring position, I think just continues to personify the toughness and everything that's right about Matthew Stafford. I think it was just his sternum. You have to. He's a tough guy. He won't tell me anything. I'm good. What's wrong with you? I'm good. So he'll probably say that to you guys too. I think it's really important, Sam. Really, find a way to start playing our best ball in December. Obviously, November was a challenging month. We look at it, we own it, but I think our guys did a great job of being able to just stay steady, trust in the process, and really we got mentally tough guys. This is going to make us strong in the long run. I do believe that, and now it's let's enjoy this and let's come back ready to work for a big-time game next week. I thought it was a great step in the right direction. There's obviously been some adversity over these last 3 games. We had to sit on the bye, coming off of a loss, and so, we talked about playing as a team. All we can do is play the schedule that we're given. Every single game is so difficult. You look at the caliber of team that the Buffalo Bills are, and this is a team that ended up, taking them to the wire and finding a way to win 9-6. And so you don't take any wins for granted in this league. It sure feels good to be back on the winning side of things, and now we got to be able to build on it. But I was really pleased with our team, and now we just got to start stacking blocks. I thought he played really well. I thought our defense as a whole, Nick, I thought we earned those opportunities to be able to rush the passer. It seemed like the pocket was pretty much collapsing all day. And so Vaughn did a nice job today. I think we got in some situations that really express his ability a little bit more, Jordan. We were in more favorable down and distances for us defensively, where they're forced to kind of throw it. We get a lead, and, there's a lot of the stuff that we love so much about Ernest coming out of South Carolina. You just feel his range, his ability to be able to sense things and diagnose them, and I think our defensive staff's done a great job of just continuing to help him improve. Chris Shula's done great, Raheem's done great, and really pleased for our whole coaching staff. They did a great job today. Big focus. It was a big focus and concentration. Robinson's a really tough back. They've done a nice job being able to kind of churn out tough yards and be able to control the football in some of their games. And so that was a big focus and concentration for us. Our guys did a great job up front.
I'm just so excited that the Rams won again, 37-7. I couldn't wait to say it all over again. They beat Jacksonville today by 30. Kirk, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the 3 top performances of the day. That's all straight ahead on the Coors Light postgame show on 710 ESPN.
Morrison.
37-7, the final score from SoFi Stadium. The Rams are now 8-4. Up next, the Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football 1 week from tomorrow out in Arizona. And Kirk, before we go to our top three performances, thought it was really interesting and very, very telling. We saw Matthew Stafford get knocked out of the game late in the second quarter as the Rams were driving towards the end of the half. And he comes out, John Wolford comes in very quickly for one play, and then Matthew Stafford right back in the game, and he throws a dime to keep that drive going. Just of all the things that we see, bad few weeks for Stafford coming into today, but no one has ever questioned his toughness. Just came right back in there.
You'll never question his toughness, his want to be out there. I still believe that he's not 100%, but he's good enough to go. And that could have been a situation where he was down for a while. Look, it was just because he took a hit. That was ended up being flagged as a bad play, as a personal foul penalty. But he got right back into it. I was like, oh, here we go, Wolf of Wall Street. Here we go, John Wolford. And I'm like, no, that's not the case.
One play.
Matthew Stafford comes right back in, man. And that's similar to what we saw from him in Detroit. How many times did he want to be out there, and yet he would come out and just didn't care, putting fingers back in and throwing it, one arm hyped up. And
I would imagine, too, Kirk, and you can speak to this, that when your quarterback is a tough guy like that, and he's going back in there after taking a shot like that, or he's going back in there after having a finger or shoulder or whatever it might be, that gives the team a little, okay, because, look, the quarterback is the guy, right? Whether he wants to be or not, he's going to set the tone of the entire team for better or for worse. But when you have a guy out there that can take a shot like that and come right back in, that has to send a very powerful message to his teammates.
Yeah, look, taking a deep breath. I think he just needed to play, needed a breather. He got out, came right back in, and I think guys will feed off of him. They feed off him, especially because we all saw it, and I think that's where guys, we look and say, you know what, now I got to go get mine. So they try to return the favor.
All right, top three performances of the day are brought to you by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good times. And let's start with Matthew Stafford as our first top performer. 3 touchdown passes today, 26 out of 38, 295 yards, Kirk. Most importantly, 0 interceptions.
It was 0 turnovers. He didn't want to join Matt Schaub and the guys who
that's a bad list.
Yeah, four games consecutive with a pick 6. So it didn't happen for him today. I thought that he played well. He just missed some throws. And, I think because I hold him to a higher standard that I expect more from him week in and week out. But I think he played well enough for the Rams to win today. He played good complementary football. There's always some throws that you wish he could have back. But to me, overall, he did way more good than any bad that we've seen over the last 3 weeks.
All right, Sony Michel, 24 carries, 121 yards. First time the Rams have had a back go over 100 yards all season long. He was very, very good today.
And they kept running it, too. But then there was times they would get away from it. But every time they would run it, they were getting 5, 6, 7 yards a carry, even when the big boy package came in, the jumbo package. So maybe the Rams could have found something and could – Sean McVay, I know he can't help himself. I know he can't.
It does feel like that at times, doesn't it?
Just stick with it, man. If you stick with it, good things happen.
Yeah, no, it definitely happened today, and it opened up all sorts of opportunities in the passing game, namely for Cooper Kupp. 8 catches, 129 yards. He had that touchdown there in the third quarter as well. Another big day for one of the best wideouts in the league.
I mean, Mr. Consistency. I know that when he gets on the field, I know what to expect week in and week out. So I don't – I've never seen Cooper Kupp have a bad game outside of his one drop against Seattle his rookie season. Other than that, he's been
rock solid.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
that's it. Consistent as they come.
So there's the offensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball, Aaron Donald, another nice game. He had a sack as well, and Aaron Donald spoke with the media after the win.
Able to kind of take us through that play, how you saw it, diagnosed it, and then ultimately made the play?
Just made a play, played it. Came inside, got the opportunity to grab him, and I usually throw him to the ground, so I was about to do that, and at the same time, I just ripped the ball that came out, so it was a big play for us. So.
Jalen had combined on a couple of those, like in training camp, for example. He tossed it up to you sometimes, and you flipped in the end zone. Having him right there, knowing that he's coming down for that scoop, what is that like for you, knowing that somebody's swarming to the ball like that?
That's good. That's what you expect from this defense. You want guys to swarm to the ball. When it's on the ground, we expect to get it. And he was there to do it. It was a big play for us, and we made a play on it. That's every week. I think every defense got the mindset you want to get turnovers and get off the ball back, because when you tend to get turnovers, you tend to win games. So we got to continue to do that, continue to build off this type of win we had today. I think it was a great team win. So we got to keep this up. You know, that's the way we got to keep playing football from here on out. And, that's the mindset. So.
After a frustrating November, how do you build on this in this next month?
Well, December is a new month. Every week's a new week. So, you know, we had a good day today. We got to build off that, not be satisfied, stay hungry. We got another tough opponent next week, another divisional opponent. So we know what to expect from there, and we know it's time to get right back to work tomorrow. So. I think it's just great to have another guy out there. You know, you got Flo, you got Gray that's in the middle that's playing great football right now, rushing good, with Vaughn and myself inside. So when it's coming to rushing the passer, so it's been good. You know, you get a lot of opportunities when you're gonna get them one-on-ones. We got to win them and continue to make it tough for quarterbacks. So it was fun. It was definitely fun. You know, you got to pin your ears back a little bit. And you know, they start to get the ball a little quick here and there, but we just got to keep going, and eventually we're going to make our plays. So.
A couple of great games from Greg Gaines so far this season, especially in light of missing Sebastian. What is he showing you guys, especially in his rush? And what do you make of that closing speed he's shown?
He's playing great. You know, Greg is just playing good football. You know, he's explosive. He's quick. He know how to rush the passer. He know how to, use his leverage and rip and dip and do all types of things to make things happen for putting pressure on quarterbacks. So he always say he's the best interior rusher. So, he usually get the slide, he say. So he's just playing good football right now.
As a defensive player, what do you think of the hit that Stafford took?
I didn't really see it. I really didn't see it. So.
The way this defense is built, did you feel Von more today because you guys have the lead?
I think he's been playing good football. Obviously, when people don't see sacks and things like that, it's like what's going on with the rush. But if you watch the game and you really watch the football game and break down the film, he's playing great football. He's putting pressure on quarterbacks. He's getting hit on quarterbacks. At the same time, some weeks quarterbacks getting the ball out fast and things happen that we can't control. So I think the rush been good. Past couple of weeks, definitely. Last week, we didn't get the sacks, we didn't get the win. But I think the rush was strong, and today I think the rush was good. Obviously, still got to watch the film and see, but I felt like we was there. So.
Ernest Jones seemed like he was really active today. I mean, that's not the first time, obviously. It seems like he always has that kind of energy, but what kind of a boost did that give you guys defensively in terms of what he was able to provide?
Anytime guys is out there, feeling good and making plays, that's great for us. So. I be in my own little world, so I didn't really see everything he was doing. So when I watched the film, I can give you a better answer to that. But I seen him on some big plays for us, and and was excited on a lot of them plays. So.
Donald, after the 37-7 win for the Rams today over Jacksonville, we're still going to hear from Jalen Ramsey, who recovered a fumble that Aaron Donald knocked loose. Plus, we're going to hear from the quarterback of the Rams, Matthew Stafford. That's all straight ahead on the Coors Light postgame show on 710 ESPN.
I make a look.
Rogers and Kirk Morrison.
Jacksonville Jaguars, exactly what the doctor ordered for the Los Angeles Rams. 37-7. The Rams win the game at SoFi Stadium today. Up next, the Arizona Cardinals, Monday Night Football a week from tomorrow night. And Kirk, we'd been talking a lot about Matthew Stafford. He'd had 6 turnovers in the previous 3 games. He was absolutely fantastic today. 26 out of 38 for 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was. I thought this was probably one of his better games that we've seen, especially coming off of what we saw the last 3 weeks. This was one for him. We talk about slump busters. I know one of his best friends is Clayton Kershaw, right? This is just basically an old baseball narrative that he found a way to get out of his little rut that he was in, and it looked to be as if he's kind of regaining the form that we saw to start the season.
Yeah, sometimes you just need that first hit, and all of a sudden you're going to start getting doubles and homers, and Matthew Stafford hopefully is on his way to another great performance on Monday night against the Cardinals. He spoke after today's win, 37-7.
Just holding the ball, trying to work the route to the field a little bit, and got hit. Didn't feel great. Was able to
Sorry, hold on 1 second.
Turnovers come out and no major mistakes today.
I just try to attack each game and treat it as an opportunity to go play great. Sometimes that doesn't happen. I thought we had a great week of practice as a team. I thought we were dialed in, came out of here on game day and played well. It boils down to execution, and I feel like our guys, did that at a really high level. Tried to make sure that I wasn't putting the ball in harm's way, and our guys were getting open and making catches. So it's nice.
What it means, I think I know your answer, but I want to hear it from you. What it means to have a running game, what it does allow you to do by having a running game affect your passing game.
Yeah, I think we did a great job of staying efficient in the run game. It definitely takes an effect on the defense, I think. Sony was running the ball really physical. Our guys up front were really pushing the pile and doing a great job. A lot of those runs were downhill stuff, and he was doing a great job of that. But it helps you be efficient and stay ahead of the chains. Would have liked to convert a couple more third downs off of that and make those things count, and put some more points on the board. But, overall, I thought they did a really nice job in the run game today.
Back to your passing game, that's right.
Yeah, I think in the play-action game, we hit a few today. I think they did a great job of panic dropping out of some of these. Tried to get down the field a couple times and those backers were hauling, trying to make sure that after they played the run, they weren't going to let anything over their heads. So they did a nice job in some of those areas as well. Was able to sneak Coop on the one down the sideline there. That was really man coverage, so that was a good one too. But it all ties into it, and I thought our defense played great. Offense, did some nice things in special teams. Starting the game like that with BP with the big return was awesome, and Johnny down late in the game down there inside the 5 was nice too.
What sets Cooper apart? I mean, he had a string there in the third quarter where he had several good catches.
I mean, he does everything right, I think, I don't know, people probably watch him on TV and think he's 5'10" and runs 4.6 and all that kind of stuff. He's 6'2", 210 and runs great. He's got, great feel for the game. He's a great competitor. He understands the game. He does everything right. He leads that receiver group in the right way. So I pinch myself every day, just happy I get a chance to play with a guy like that, and have a lot of respect for how he goes about his business and how he goes about, attacking each opportunity, whether it be practice and or games. And then he's great on game day. Run after the catch, getting open versus man, feeling voids versus zone. He's got a great feel for the game of football.
Now with Odell, how would you describe where your guys are points at?
Yeah, I think it's getting better and better. Obviously hit him for the fade for a touchdown, hit him on a nice low cross on a keeper, which was great. Just missed a chance at a big one. Loved the way he was digging for that ball. Wish I'd have, however far that was, wish I'd have dropped it 2 yards shorter and given him a chance. But he's a guy that I really am impressed with his ability to step in and seamlessly kind of learn his role in this offense. It's been impressive, for a guy that's unfamiliar with what we do before he got here. I give him a lot of respect for that, and also, he's toughing it out. Feeling a little crummy from last week, and was out there, and when he had his opportunities to make plays, he made them.
What changes when your center goes out?
What's up?
What changes when your center?
Well, one guy snaps it righty, the other guy snaps it lefty. That's different, but no, I can't say enough about Coleman. That was a heck of an effort. This game's funny, you feel like you're going into a game, the plan, here we go, and then all of a sudden it was drive 1, he's down, drive 2, David Edwards down, able to come back in and play, but I thought Coleman did a great job commanding, and that just goes to his preparation as a player. He's got a great coach in Carbs that's coaching him, and he had an opportunity to go out there and play, and I thought he played really well. Are there things that are different? Yeah, absolutely. And things that are just, that we can clean up that are a hair off. Certain plays, yes. But when he was in there, man, he was battling. He was commanding the line of scrimmage, which I thought was great. And, for the most part, I thought he played really well.
When you look at young guys, Van and Ben in particular, not only sort of dealing with the transference of some of Robert's duties to these guys, in addition to their learning curve, understanding that they probably will make mistakes. So what is it for you as a veteran guy to make sure you keep going back to them?
Yeah, I think, number one, push them, because those guys can do it, and they really can. And I've got all the faith in the world in Van and Ben and some of the guys that are younger, that are getting kind of their first opportunities in this league. Push them because I know they can do it. I wouldn't sit there and push them if I didn't think they could. But at the same time, understanding that those things are going to happen, and that's okay. You don't want them to happen, and continue to find ways to help them learn. Just help them learn. Hey, got to continue to focus. These are all plays they can make. They make them 100 times out of 100, and sometimes they don't happen. But I got a bunch of trust in those guys. I'll continue to work with them. Those practice reps are really valuable, and when we get those opportunities in practice, to make sure that the focus is like it is on Sunday, and make sure that, hey, if I'm throwing you this ball in practice, chance we get this shot in the game, and just go out there and execute. So it'll be good. I'm not worried about those guys in the least bit. Just want to continue to watch them grow, help them as much as I can, and get us where we want to be.
Today, Matthew Stafford, 26 of 38 for 3 touchdowns, and most importantly, no interceptions, only sacked one time as well. Good job by the Rams offensive line up front as well. We'll hear from Jalen Ramsey when we come back on the Coors Light postgame show on 710 ESPN. 7, the final score from SoFi Stadium. The Rams beat the Jags. They are 8-4. Up next, the Arizona Cardinals on Monday Night Football a week from tomorrow on the road in Arizona with a chance to close to within a single game of the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC West. Matthew Stafford with his 3 touchdowns today. That makes the 7th time that he has done it this season. Kurt Warner did it 9 times in '99 and 8 times in the 2001 season. So Matthew Stafford right behind the Hall of Famer Kurt Warner in that category as well. Jalen Ramsey recovered a fumble after Aaron Donald knocked it loose in the first quarter, set up the Rams' first touchdown of the day. He spoke with the media after the win.
We were in I really don't know what coverage we was in, to be honest. I don't remember, but it was like 4th and short, and it was a tight end. So I didn't really fear his vertical speed, so I just kind of used some shuffle agilities instead of a back pedal. And Trevor's 3-step is pretty, noticeable, so I just broke on his 3-step. Yeah, it was nice. We get victories like this, big victories where we win by, 30 points. So that was nice. And honestly, we know we have a lot of room for improvement. We know we got to get better in certain aspects. And then when you talk about complementary football, obviously y'all probably think of all 3 phases playing well, but a lot of complementary football is certain situations as well. So, one thing that I know we can improve on is the offense goes down and scores in the second half. I don't know what that put us up, but then you would want to come out and get a 3-and-out or a turnover real quick. That's good complementary football. And we got off the field on that drive, but it wasn't a 3-and-out or a turnover. So that's where I say we can still improve on certain stuff like that. Just capitalizing on situations during the game, so we can take this thing to the next level where we need to take it. Sometimes it just happens for you. The football guys they pay you a visit, and the saying is that turnovers come, in bunches. So I guess that happened for us today, and hopefully it'll continue to happen even more down the rest of the year, really.
Yeah, but when that happens after a little bit of a dry spell, is that a cathartic feeling as a group? Do you all share that feeling together of, okay, we broke the bubble, essentially? A little bit, but we still striving to get better. I know at one point during the game, we were we were on the sideline. I want to say it was the third quarter or something like that. And as a secondary, we were just we got 2 fumble recoveries, another forced fumble, but we don't have any picks. So that's how we gotta be, and that's how we challenge each other. Even in games like this where it's a big win, and we definitely happy about it. I want to emphasize that we still want to improve, and that's what our focus is on. Of course we want to enjoy the moment and be happy in the moment, but at the same time we definitely gonna challenge ourselves and challenge each other to take it to another level that we need to take it to. So it was cool to get the fumbles, but we need to get picks. We need to capitalize on opportunities to get interceptions as well. Maybe put a whole game together. They looking good. I guess I don't know though. Maybe ask me during the week or something. I ain't really too much focused on that right now. We just got a good win, huh?
I was just saying, looking back to the earlier game this year.
Yeah, it don't matter though. That was earlier in the year. It's a new game. It's gonna be a new week. But anyway, though, we just beat the Jaguars. We give a damn. We can't celebrate for a quick second or something. Shit. Age don't really matter when it comes to the NFL. Experience does sometimes in certain situations, but he's super talented. He can make plays. He's made plays for him, at times this year, and he's gonna continue to improve over the season. So, we got a lot of respect for him, but we treat him just like we'll treat anybody else. We prepared, super tough for him, and we try to make sure we on our P's and Q's. And if he does have anything that may not be looking crisp yet, allowing him to play at the level that he might be wanting to play at, we look to take advantage of those opportunities. It's little times like that throughout the game, but they can happen with anybody.
All right, that's Jalen Ramsey after the 37-7 win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they're absolutely going to get to celebrate that one for a little while before you turn the page to go to the Arizona Cardinals, which comes up a week tomorrow night. The Rams entering the final stretch of the season, 5 games left. Remember, this is the 17-game season for the NFL, so in Arizona, then back to SoFi against the Seattle Seahawks. Then they go on the road for a pair in Minnesota and Baltimore, and they will finish the season at home against the San Francisco 49ers, who dropped a division game today against the Seattle Seahawks. For Kirk Morrison, I am Travis Rodgers, where the Rams win 37-7. This has been the Coors Light Postgame Show